key messages from the Kenya's country report, State of the World Animal Genetic Resources, second edition. Kenya is endowed with a number of species of animal genetic resources used for food and agriculture. These are cattle, sheep, goats, chicken, donkeys, camels, pigs, rabbits, bees, and emerging livestock. These animals are kept for various products such as milk, meat, among others. Livestock contributes 12% of the national gross domestic product, 40% of agricultural GDP, 50% of agricultural labor force, 80% of the country's assets, where 60% of livestock is found, supporting 10 million people as the only source of livelihood. In terms of livestock population, we have over 17 million cattle, 17 million sheep, over 25 million goats, over around 3 million camels, 1.8 million donkeys, 41 million chicken. Now, the Kenya Country Report, the objective of this report is to review Kenya's first country report on the state of management of animal genetic resources that contributed to the first State of the World Animal Genetic Resources. It highlights the key changes in the management of animal genetic resources that had occurred over the last 10 years. It is intended to promote the prudent use and development of locally adapted animal genetic resources, improve food security, reduce poverty, strengthen environmental protection, and protect traditional livestock practices of smallholder farmers and pastoralists, and strengthen country's ability to manage animal genetic resources. The processes leading to Kenya's country report on the state of the world animal resources began with the FAO requesting members to prepare the second country report by completing questionnaire provided by FAO to update the first report. As national coordinator, I circulated the questionnaire to members of the National Advisory Committee on Animal Genetic Resources for their input, because we did not have resources to call members for a meeting. We received the inputs from members of the National Advisory Committee, and we worked with the Secretariat and filled the questionnaires as a draft report. Then AUIBA came to rescue us. They organized for a meeting in Naivasha, Kenya for African region and provided technical advice for the members, which helped us to finalize the report. The impact of the process is that the National Advisory Committee is composed of membership from institutional and farmers organizations dealing with management of animal genetic resources in Kenya. This enabled us to get information from the key stakeholders in the management of animal genetic resources. The Secretariat was able to work effectively and with the minimum cost, which resulted in the draft report. The meeting organized by the AUIBA was very important, not only for Kenya, but for the entire region, as majority of the countries were able to submit their reports before the deadline. In the findings in our country report, it was found that the awareness creation on the management of animal genetic resources has been enhanced in the country, especially within the ministry and other institutions responsible for management of animal genetic resources. There is a growing demand for quality livestock products in the market, thus prompting animal producers to adopt some specific genetic resources to meet specific consumer demands. This has been witnessed in beef and chicken production, where consumers have demanded products from certain breeds. Economic attractiveness in livestock enterprises, especially dairy, beef, poultry, have contributed to increase in the number of keepers and therein numbers of animal genetic resources. Further, sanitary and animal welfare measures have been put in place in animal genetic resources management units as measures to address national trade and animal products, especially the exports, and thus providing incentives for livestock keeping. Adoption of modern technologies has resulted in improved animal husbandry and management practices, hence increased productivity of the animal genetic resources. Lastly, the government of Kenya has embarked on formulation of policies to guide the management of animal genetic resources. Some of these policies include the National Livestock Policy, Dairy Development Policy, Poultry Development Policy, Feeds Policy, among others. Animal breeding policy and bill formulation has been completed, and the documents are in their final draft form, waiting for parliamentary approval. Thank you very much for listening to me.